So I want to talk about the Twitch NMPA partnership. So if you are unaware, we'll cut away from the screen for a second here. If you're unaware, it was announced that Twitch was working with the NMPA, which is, I should have memorized, and I don't. It probably says in one of these articles. Yeah, National Music Publishers Association. It was announced that they were working with them and close to coming to a deal that would help Twitch streamers or Twitch itself manage the DMCA problem a little bit better. Those initial announcements were a little misleading because that's not what this did, and that's not what the objective is. And so a day or two later after that news came out, Twitch sent out emails confirming some of the data, or some of the, I guess, decisions being made and the results. I think the most important part is what they threw in at the end. This new process does not change how music can be used on Twitch. As we've said consistently, which is not true, they have not said this consistently. Well, they have not enforced it consistently. It's never okay to include music in your channel unless you've secured the necessary rights or have the authority to do so, blah, 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 blah. So what they're doing here, and there's an article here from Billboard, but of course you got to sign in and log in to talk about it. There's also a video breaking it down from Hogue Law. I believe they have a video they released as well. What the system actually does here is effectively kind of allows Twitch to start building their own proper content ID system, that kind of like how YouTube has. Because on YouTube, if you use a piece of content that you don't have rights to, you don't just immediately get kind of striked with a DMCA strike or anything like that. It can happen. It's unlikely these days because the Content ID program was introduced to appease copyright holders and kind of have a middle ground between that and, you know, what content creators are using. So instead you get a Content ID claim. The Content ID claim says, hey, this video contains content, music, movie clip, whatever, from this copyright holder. And that copyright holder has the ability to do a few things. It can just block the video so no one can see it. It can block the video in certain territories based on licensing. So for example, I have a Blu-ray ripping video that got blocked in 100 countries, but it's still visible in the US, and it's because I showed screen capture of one of the movies for a second, which theoretically I could argue, but then that could come to bite me in the butt about the DVD or Blu-ray ripping in the first place. But it was blocked in 100 countries because in 100 countries they don't have a way to, I guess, monetize that video with that content, so they just blocked it elsewhere, and then it works fine in the US. They can block it. They can block it in specific countries. They can claim all monetization of it. So every dollar of ad revenue that video earns will just be turned over to that owner. They can track it, so they can just see all the analytics data, but you still make the money. Or they can set up a revenue sharing split. Now, this is most commonly used for cover songs. So cover artists are generally pretty safe on YouTube because YouTube has negotiated with the music publishers and all of that to establish a system where cover artists basically make a split ad revenue cut and split that with the original rights holders for composition and things like that. And it works out great. But you don't see a whole lot of DMCA strikes unless someone's showing like leaks or how to hack a game or anything like that. So there's a big difference between how it happens on Twitch and how it happens on YouTube now. So this new partnership, this new program with the NMPA could theoretically lead to them establishing that sort of system, because what they had talked about in the email was it would be a system that doesn't immediately strike the creator, the streamer, but instead gives them a warning, and then Twitch can work with them to take the content down, to figure out what they did wrong, to fix it, blah, 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 which is kind of how YouTube works. However, Hogue Law's expressing, Hogue, I'm probably saying this terribly wrong, I've never heard it said out loud, is expressing concern because of the repeat infringer policy that Twitch is now going to be tracking repeat infringers, and according to the law, it's not just actual confirmed repeat infringers that need to be banned from the platform in order for Twitch to maintain their safe harbor protections for copyright, but that accused or alleged repeat infringers are also the problem. So if someone gets a bunch of accidental or not super legit copyright flags, Twitch theoretically might be forced to ban them anyway, even if all of them work out, because of this new rule. So there is some concern there. But theoretically, like, the best thing that can come from it is that they build a content ID system that protects streamers a little bit better, but doesn't allow streamers to still stream radio music or anything, worst case, things could actually get worse for streamers. And at no point did Twitch negotiate an ability for streamers to just use whatever music they want. I think a lot of people seem to have been expecting that from Twitch. I don't know why. That's not really possible with how things work right now. That's not what went down here. But regardless, that's the current situation. I think for a lot of repeat infringers, for people who deliberately like go and break the rules, I think Twitch being forced to like do more bans for it is a good thing. But there is still some concern for games that have music that gets flagged, for people who are doing IRL streams and just walk by a place that's playing music, and all these extraneous circumstances of people who aren't trying to break the rules that hopefully this new system protects. But we'll see, because you never know. I know for a lot of people, this stuff is pretty obvious, and you're like, why the hell would people use music? Blah, 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 blah. I would love to believe that that is everyone. Unfortunately, it is not. It is 100% not. It is, there are a lot of people who are still making arguments, trying to justify music usage or argue why it needs done, or hold out hope for Twitch to negotiate this absurd deal that at no point makes sense for them financially. And here you go. Here's what Twitch is doing, which is covering their own butts.